One of the things about transition, you can study, I've preached it before in David and Solomon, and there's other examples in Scripture too, that whenever there's a transition in season, I think one of the challenging things that if you're an expert in this season and God releases a new dimension of himself, sometimes you are no longer an expert in that season. So probably the best example, because most people are aware of this story, with David and Solomon. David, Larry Randolph puts it perfectly, in my opinion, in the most simplest way possible. He said, David, he would kill you. Solomon would marry you. It just describes those two people so almost great. It makes sense. David was a man of war. He was assigned by God to do war. And he had the word of the Lord to fight. He had the word of the Lord to carry the sword and the spear and to literally kill armies of nations so the land would become theirs. That was David's mandate. So if you can imagine, I want you to work with, when we talk about the mighty men didn't just wake up one day and go, all of a sudden they're a mighty man. No, these men gave their entire life to become a mighty man. They probably worked insane hours. They put their body through such rigorous testing and such, they exhausted their emotions, their physical self. They deserve to be mighty men, if I can say that. They worked hard for that. So they became an expert. They were like, they know how to use the sword. So you can imagine the entire industry of that nation, if you will, was built around war. Was built around, so you can imagine the finances, the people's identities, all this stuff was built around war. And if you didn't know how to wield a sword, then you weren't much of a help in some ways in that season. And so if you knew how to wield a sword, then you caught the wind of the season of what God was wanting to do with this nation. Now imagine with me, so you are an expert in this season. You've given your life to wielding a sword. I mean, you are a professional of the professional. You actually train the professionals. And literally overnight, Solomon comes in, and he's now king. And Solomon is not a man of war. I want you to imagine with me that transition. What it would be like to wake up and realize we're not going to war anymore. What do you mean we're not fighting anymore? That's all I know how to do. I have a collection of swords for certain battles and certain types of battles. Some are from close range, others are for open field. I mean, we're talking, these guys, they were expert. I'm trying to drive home a point. They were expert. They knew exactly what to do in a time of war. And overnight, they're like, we're not going to war anymore. We're actually going to become friends of nations. What? We need to kill them. Are you following me? So could you imagine being an expert in this season, and then the next season, you're no longer an expert? Imagine what that does to you as a person. Imagine what that does to you, to the industry of that day. It has to go through that's called change.